good blaster, the right crew, and no job's too big.
Heads up!
Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. And first of all, apologies for being so late to the news, but if you follow me on social media, you know that I've been stuck on a flight to LA from Stockholm the entire day. So yeah, it was quite painful to see all of this news drop while I couldn't do anything other than basically tweet about it. But I'm now here in LA and ready to cover the news, so let's dig straight into it. So today we got the solo season trailer as well as all the details about the rest of the season. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention why they have most likely revealed it now and not at EA Play, because Ben also posted the following on Reddit saying there's been a lot of talk about this season, but I want to clarify one thing. There's a reason we're talking about this now and not EA Play. See you on Saturday. So it's pretty obvious that they wanted to kind of get the solo stuff out of the way so they can focus on other Battlefront 2 stuff at EA Play, which is obviously very promising for what we could potentially see. And Dennis is also here in LA. I was on the same flight as him, and so he'll be there on Saturday talking about Battlefront 2 as well. And I'm hoping that potentially I could secure an interview with him. No promises yet, but at least that's my goal. So look forward to Saturday press conference. That's when we might get a glimpse into the future of Battlefront 2 outside of the solo season. But let's dig straight into the actual solo season content. So part 2 of the solo season will be arriving on June 12th, and luckily I'm actually landing in Stockholm the same minute that the DLC drops, so I'm just gonna go straight home and start streaming for you guys. But part 2 of the solo season will contain Kessel, a map which you can play Heroes vs Villains, Hero Showdown, Arcade, Blast, and also Extraction, which is finally coming back to the game. And I'm super stoked to be playing Extraction again, as it's something I loved in Battlefront 2015. And Extraction will be available on both Java's Palace and Kessel when it launches on the 12th. In terms of skins, we have 4 new legendary ones, 2 for Lando, which is the professional sportsman and raconteur skin. I'm not quite sure if that's how you pronounce it. But then for solo, we have the Corellia Escape skin and Beckett's crew skin, and lastly an epic skin for Chewbacca from the Vandor heist. And you can see all of those in the trailer, so I'm gonna have the trailer in the background as well as some still images, of course, showing what I'm talking about. And we also get 1 new hero ship, another Falcon. I can't say I'm too excited, to be completely honest, but Lando's Falcon with L3 as the co-pilot with 3 abilities. First off, the coaxium injection, which will give you a massive boost of speed, and then the second ability is the L3 co-pilot ability, where you will highlight enemies both for yourself and friendly starfighters, and any of those highlighted enemies will receive an increase in damage inflicted against them. And lastly, synchronized fire, where you will be firing both of your primary guns at the same time with increased damage for a short space of time. And in terms of some other general features coming in this part 2, they are now continuing the hologram removal by removing the holograms from the deploy and MVP screens. And I have to say that I'm very excited to see how the MVP screens are gonna look now with the victory poses and stuff without the holograms. And they've also apparently added a character inspector in the collection screen, where you can kind of rotate around and see the characters. And I think that's fantastic if you want to get a better view of the actual models, and probably a good way to sell some more skins as well. And lastly, they're now also displaying the timed challenges on the home screen. Another great addition, considering it's not painful, but it's annoying to actually go into the milestones every time you want to see the new challenges for that day. But they also released the patch notes, which I will be going over right now. And as always, I'll be going over the stuff that I find important, and then I will link you to the full patch notes in the description below. So let's get straight into it. First of all, they obviously fixed the chain lightning ability, which wasn't doing damage after the last patch, and they've also nerfed how long Phasma's droid stays alive after she has been defeated. Some fixes for Lando's disabler, and apparently a fix for Rey where she could dash through a lightsaber block, something that I actually thought was intentional, because I feel like the lightsaber blocks are already pretty powerful, so I kind of like that you were able to break them that way, since she doesn't really have any stuns or any other force abilities that affects the enemy directly, so I'm actually not sure if I like that fix at all. And they've also fixed the lock-on system to now warn a player when someone is starting to lock on and not when it's already locked on. And a fix I'm very glad about for the assault is where the combat roll is blocked for a brief period of time when activating Toughen Up to prevent inconsistencies between animation audio and the abilities activation, because right now it kind of cancels itself every time you roll quickly after, which is really frustrating. So I'd much rather have them block it like this, which is very good. And then a couple of fixes for the Heaviest Marksman star card, and they've actually given the Ion Torpedo 3 shots per magazine instead of 1 now, and increased the damage. So I'm very glad about this. I requested more direct counters for vehicles, and now it seems like the Heavy is gonna be that counter, because right now if you fire 1 Ion Torpedo, they're pretty much gonna regenerate all the health before you can fire it again. But now you can fire 3 times instead, which is great to see. So I'm excited to test that out in the game. And they've also slightly reduced the damage of the SE-44C and Blurg for the Officer, which I think makes sense. Officers shouldn't have the most powerful weapons in the game. And finally, the Flashbang has been nerfed. They've slightly reduced the flash duration of the flash grenade, and they've also fixed an issue where apparently the improved flash grenade caused a longer flash duration than the default version, and that's not something that should have been the case. So I'm excited to see how the flash grenade is gonna feel now. I'm guessing it will still kind of stun you and damage you and all those things that I didn't quite like, but if it is a lot shorter, that's gonna be a very good change nevertheless. And then if we move over to the Specialist, which is the class that has probably gotten the most changes, I would say. They've now changed the health to be the same as the Officer and Assault classes, 150. But they've also reduced the health regeneration per second to half, so it's gonna take longer to regenerate. And you might be thinking that, oh, now you're just gonna see them running around and quickscoping, but they've actually done some tweaks to sprint recovery. And what sprint recovery is basically that when you sprint and you want to pull up your weapon and shoot, the higher the penalty is, the longer that takes. And the Specialist has had an increase in this sprint penalty, which means that you will not just be able to run around the corner and quickscope an Officer or Assault, because even though they have the same amount of health, they will be able to bring up their weapons faster to shoot you, to kind of make sure that the Specialist is a sniper and not someone who runs around and kills everyone. But I do think that the Specialist with the infiltration ability is probably gonna be pretty good right now. And for the aerials, they've done some tweaking where they've reduced the deploy time for the launchers, and they've given you more control over the jump pack, giving you a better air control overall. And CJ actually tweeted about this, asking us to test them out once the update is live, because now you will probably not be falling to your death as much as you did before. So I'm excited to see how those feel, because I thought they were pretty good, to be completely honest, but if they're even easier to control now, that's just good. I do however think that they need to buff the rocket launcher's damage a little bit, because it does feel quite weak right now. And then we have quite a lot of fixes for arcade, heroes versus villains, hero showdown, jetpack cargo, and evo count, all of which you can find in the description below. But I thought it was worth bringing up here that jetpack cargo will now actually have a timer, so it will not be able to go on forever, which I think is very good. And lastly, some general changes. They've added animation to the XP bar when ranking up, and additional matchmaking information in the end of round screen. And they also say that they've adjusted the credit payout for time spent in match by reducing the time bonus by 20% in order to give more weight to actions during a match. This one is actually a little bit unclear, because the way I read into it, it basically just means that they've overall decreased the credit gain in a match, because they only say that they've reduced the time bonus, but they haven't increased something else. But hopefully we can get a clarification on that when I talk to the developers at EA Play, as I think the actual credit gain per hour is pretty good right now. But I do agree on that the payout should be more based on what you've done in the game instead of just AFKing and getting a time bonus. So that makes sense, but just make sure that you don't reduce the overall credits per hour. But that should wrap up this video. I will be back with more content the coming days, hopefully from EA Play, and I'm also recording a vlog right now. I'm not quite sure if I should just make one big vlog for the entire event or if I'll do one halfway through. We will see, but there will be content nevertheless, so look forward to that. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.